Okay, thank you for your patience, everyone, as we make sure we're getting a good recording of this event. And thank you so much. This is Pablo Avila and Jessica Perez from LaGuardia Community College joining us today. Pablo is Associate Director of the Center for Teaching and Learning, and Jessica, the Director of the Center for Career and Professional Development at LaGuardia. Pablo Avila is the Associate Director. I said that. We have a repetition here at LaGuardia of CUNY. Pablo oversees areas that provide instructional support to faculty, staff, and students with the various tools. An adjunct professor in Education Language Acquisition Department at LaGuardia, and also co-designs and co-leads professional development for faculty across different disciplines and programs. Pablo is also a doctoral student in the Higher and Post-Secondary Education Program at Teachers College of Columbia University. His research seeks to understand the values, commitments, drives, and other background features of part-time development math instructors known to work continually at improving their teaching of these courses in the community colleges. Jessica Perez is Director of the Center for Career and Professional Development at LaGuardia, a certified Myers-Briggs type indicator practitioner with 20+ years of experience in career and professional development and employer partnership building. She oversees the SOAR, is that how you say it? S-O-A-R. CUNY loves acronyms. Experiential Learning Program. LMES Foundation Career Fellows Program, CUNY Career Launch, Spring Forward, and several other internship programs at the college. We'll have to talk a lot later about all these things. She is also an adjunct assistant professor at Lehman College and a career consultant for Virginia Peninsular Community College. She's previously served as the co-president of the Career Services Association of CUNY for 4 years, co-chair of the NACE Career Readiness Task Force 2022-23, and co-leader of the National Association of Colleges and Employers. 2-year and Community College Affinity Group from 2019 to 2021. Dr. Perez's diverse experience is instrumental in helping her guide employer and empower students to flourish in their chosen careers. She earned a doctorate in education from the University of Southern Mississippi's Higher Education Administration program, and her research is focused on first-generation students and how career services impact retention and graduation rates. She earned her master's in public administration from Metropolitan College of New York and her bachelor's degree in English and sociology from Binghamton University. Okay, thank you very much, and thank you so much for being with us. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to share the work that we have done around digital badging at LaGuardia Community College, as you can see in the title of our presentations. Well, thank you as well for those introductions. My colleague, Dr. Perez, and I will be talking about first, institutional context. We want to give you a sense of the work that we have done, specifically thinking about the student population of LaGuardia. We will tell you briefly about the origins and the badging pilot that happened back in 2015. We will also share some student input. My colleague, Dr. Perez, and I will share some surveys and some additional feedback we have received from students over time. And obviously, I will share the support structure so that you have a sense of really what the logistics look like in terms of working with digital badges. And my colleague, Dr. Perez, will focus primarily in badging and career readiness, which has been an area that really has spearheaded our digital badging initiative since the very beginning. Thank you so much. So a little bit of background. You know, LaGuardia is located in Long Island City. We have about 13,000 students in academic programs and a very growing population in adult and continuing education. It's about 10,000 students. So it's a little over 20,000 students. And the reason why I highlight ACE students as well is because over the course of the last year in 2024, a number of ACE programs started using digital badges as well. Students are very diverse. It's a very diverse student population, over 136 countries, and speak 43 different languages. This is important because when working on various initiatives, we try to think as much as we can who our students are. Most of them are the first in their family to attend college, so giving them an introduction of what the US college system is important for them to understand what is the value, in this case, of digital badges. And 64% of our students are under 23 years old, so we can also understand the population that we work with and how we introduce digital badges. All right, so our message and rationale. So we wanted to include this because this really was at the core of our initiative. What do we tell students? And this will resonate with previous presentations. A digital badging is an indicator of an accomplishment. So our previous presenters spoke about being a connector and a marker. It's a way to validate the learning of the student. It could be a skill, a quality, an interest, and can be earned in many learning environments. And this is something important because from the very beginning and over the years, we have wanted to use digital badges as a way to validate student learning that happens not only in the classroom, but also outside of the classroom. And badges obviously signal achievement, motivate engagement, and deepen learning, recognize new skills, and in many cases, gives students the possibility to understand their learning outside the classroom when they are engaged in different activities. For example, experiential learning. When you go and collect samples from a park for a biology class, how does that experience itself contributes to your learning of the subject matter in the classroom? So we wanted to make sure that we make this clear to students because at LaGuardia, we try to engage students in an array of co-curricular activities, and more recently on career readiness as well, which my colleague will speak more about. And we wanted to be intentional about how do we tell students that digital badges can be a medium to recognize and validate the learning in those experiences. And obviously this builds community and connections, many of the reflections that we've seen in previous presenters as well. All right, so let me briefly tell you a little bit about the origins. We started this initiative thanks to an initiative from NASPA and the Association of College Registrars. I will share more information in the next slides. We started the initiative with a pilot in 2015, and the project expanded over the course of the spring of 2016 with three different areas. One of them was the ePortfolio Scholars, Service Learning, and President Society. In addition to those three, career readiness were the four areas that we focused on, and that's why my colleague, oh, am I good? Can you hear me well? Perfect, thank you so much. So these three areas, in addition to career readiness, were the four original projects in which we launched the use of digital badges, and my colleague will expand on career readiness. As you can see, these three distinct areas and career readiness were not necessarily focused on the classroom. They have linkages to things that happen in the classroom, but it was an opportunity for us to think about the different co-curricular learning opportunities that students were engaging in, and how can we use digital badges to validate that learning. An internal report indicated that out of the 4 digital badging projects during the spring of 2016, approximately 80 students participated. This is back in 2015 and 2016. It was a very small sample, but it gave us enough information to understand not only how we could potentially launch this, but also how students would perceive this. And we have been working with Credly, which is a system, I will briefly share information about it, which is a system that allowed us to set up badges, distribute, and also sharing. Let's go. Yeah, thank you. We are distributing the slides already to the coordinating committee, so you can review this later if you wish. On the left, you have the Comprehensive Learning Record, the initiative from NASPA and the Association of College Registrars. LaGuardia was part of this team originally in 2016. I believe BMCC was also another of the CUNY colleges that were engaged in it, with a number of other institutions across the country. There's a report that provides additional information about the work that we did, how we launched all of this. And then on the right-hand side, you see a publication that resulted of that as well, in which we spoke about the work that we did around digital badges and portfolios. Something that also resonates from previous presenters is we were trying to be as intentional as possible in connecting the use of digital badges to initiatives that we already were working on. And e-portfolios was one of them, career readiness was another one, and President Society and service learning. So we saw these 4 strong initiatives that were already moving along, and we try to adapt digital badges to that. Okay, so here's a little bit of the initial student input that we received. You can read that in your own time when you get the slides, but I want to focus on questions number 4 and 5. I gained confidence in myself as a result of this project. 93% of students either strongly agreed or agreed. And getting a digital badge will show people what I learned. 89% of students either strongly agreed or agree. You can see the number of responses on the right-hand side. Small sample, but still significant for us to think about how students were receiving and understanding the value of a digital badge. I mentioned that we work with Credly. Credly also allows students to share their digital badges on LinkedIn, which is, I want to say, the most popular way for students to share that work. Over 50% of our students at least share it once on their LinkedIn profile. And our career office offers workshops for students to develop and build a LinkedIn profile in which then they can showcase those badges. So this is from an internal report and gave us a sense of how we could launch this initiative from the beginning. Okay, so a little bit of a structure. So the Center for Teaching and Learning, which is the area where I am based in the Division of Academic Affairs, provides the support to faculty and staff. And we work collaboratively with the Career Office to, in this case, to launch a digital badge. We provide support around how to set it up and how to implement. We try to be as intentional as possible in aligning the structure of the digital badge with our general education core competencies and abilities. The competencies are integrative learning, inquiry and problem solving, and global learning, and the abilities are written, oral, and digital. So we have a template in which when someone comes to us and says, I want to develop a digital badge, we think about what is the evidence, what is the activity. You can see the criteria at the bottom. For every badge, we have an activity. What is it that students are going to be doing as part of this initiative? What is the description? What are the details? What are the skills? What are the learning outcomes? And how do we connect them to the competencies? And what is the evidence that students need to demonstrate? Is it a reflection on their e-portfolio? Is it a polished resume? Is it an interview that they complete? Is it a networking event that they attend? Whatever the evidence is, it's stipulated on the badge, so that way the student understands this is the skill that I am going to gain as a result of participating in this specific activity. I mentioned that we work with the Credly system. You can scan the QR code and then see if and see the content. It's an institutional profile where we host all of our digital badges. You will see a total of 19 active right now. My colleague, Dr. Perez, will expand on specifically the career readiness ones. And what we do is we use Credly because it's a robust system that allows us to set up badges, distribute them to students, and then students are able to create an account and be able to share that badge in various ways. Sometimes in their portfolios, most of the times I would say, having looked at the numbers, mostly they do it on LinkedIn. I want to give you a sense of our data. Like I said, 19 active badges, 1,410 badges awarded since 2020. That's the year when we started actively collect more data because we saw that there was this, more traction on the use of digital badges. And over the course of 2024, as you can see right here, we have expanded to different ACE programs. So ACE programs have also started using digital badges, in some cases to validate the learning of a specific certificate or a specific program. Some of them include, for instance, things around AI or the other one is escaping me, but I can provide more examples later. Normally in badges, we have a quota of 400 every year. So you can see that the numbers for 2021 and 2022 have been steady, and then in 2024 we saw an uptick. So as of today, we have 92 badges distributed for the year of 2025. So obviously we work with Credly to make sure that whenever we go in our quota, we can make sure that we arrange something in terms of paying for our license and everything. No. All right, and now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Perez, to talk about badges in the context of career readiness.
Thank you. Thank you, Pablo. So from its inception, so the Career Readiness Digital Badging Program lives within Career Services for our degree-seeking students, because we do have 2 career services at LaGuardia. One is for our non-degree students. And I was just in my 2nd semester as a director at LaGuardia when this project came to flourish, and I had the opportunity of working with Pablo. So we worked with our marketing department to design these digital badges, which is also part of the process that Pablo currently oversees in CTL. And really the goal was, and also the National Association of Colleges and Employers around this time launched this idea, of career readiness competencies. So everything was pretty new. And it was really aligning everything, because it wasn't that LaGuardia wasn't doing this work. It was just, it was no visual alignment of how faculty and staff are preparing students, for their careers. So really it was an effort for students to be able to recognize their skills, but also to be more employable. Especially for a community college, our students are competing, City Tech, with the 4-year college students. They're competing with the NYUs, et cetera. So it was really important, me as a career services director, that I wanted our students to feel empowered and that their skills are, just as valid as anyone else's. And as Pablo shared earlier, it's about confidence also of our first-gen students. So that was really the initial design, and also working with our federal work-study program. So actually, Jacqueline Nava, that's here, that's one of my staff. She was our initial advisor working on digital badging, and we worked with the Federal Work-Study Office, again, to align job descriptions with the badges, with the career readiness competencies, and providing professional development for our students, which has evolved, and I'll talk about in a few minutes, which her role also has evolved, and now she's a full-timer, and she's our work-based learning manager. But I'm happy to say and share from those 1,200, 694 are career readiness badges that we have awarded. Our most popular badge is, what would you think from this list? It's communications, ding, ding, ding. We've awarded 317 communications badges. Our next highest is actually professional ethics, followed by critical thinking. Right now, we're working on a new initiative called Climb Together that the college got a grant, is an organization with Walmart, and we're actually going to be awarding the leadership badge with this curriculum that's about connecting with weak ties, making asks to build your network. So that's in the process right now. And sorry, I could go on and on about the topic. So here I wanted to provide you all with some examples that has evolved as well. If you could remember, Pablo, the chart was very small. The rubric was very small. And the staff has really worked really hard in developing this. So for example, this is the rubric that we use when we're working with faculty. Because they usually come to us and say, I really want to embed this particular competency in my course, but I want a little bit of guidance on what type of activities I should be recommending to students, assigning in the class, or what are you already doing in career services that we could partner and collaborate. So for example, here you could see in the professional ethics badge, we have the description, of the badge, very similar to the language that's used by NACE. And as Pablo alluded to earlier, we aligned it with the LaGuardia core competencies. Again, so we're speaking the same language. It's not foreign, neither to the faculty, staff, or students. And then we worked really hard in making recommendations for what types of activities, right? And this is the language of evidence. What is the student going to do and submit to get awarded this badge? So for example, here we created a nice menu of different activities, from mock interviews, from a recommendation letter from their site supervisor, whether it's an internship or a job, and completing a micro internship, and working on their LinkedIn profile. And then here I just gave 2 examples, because if not, right, I'll have multiple slides. But here's an example of what the expectation is for the LinkedIn profile, for example. So the student has to have, right, their photo, their summary, achievements, experience, etc. It's okay. With the communications badge, again, another example for you. Again, we have the description aligned with the LaGuardia competencies and what activities students should be working on. We included like oral presentations. Again, is making those connections for the students of what's happening in the classroom and being able to articulate that to an employer. Because many of our students don't really make the connections for themselves, right? Or what assignment they've done in the class or activity. When they go to an interview, oh, I've never worked in groups. Yes, you have, right? There's been activities. You've written essays. So it's really, again, to help the student formulate and articulate those activities. Then we have the meta badge. So sorry I didn't mention that earlier. So we do have the smaller badges that I shared, right, in the first screen. The goal is if students earn 2 to 3, and we've lowered it. We used to say 4, but we wanted to be very, right, I'm a realist leader, so I said that may not be possible all the time. So really students, if they complete, let's say, communications and a leadership badge, they are eligible to earn their career readiness meta badge. And what that entails is a compilation of different activities. If they complete one of our internship programs, which I'll talk about in a few seconds, the student would get this badge. And again, right, the goal is students felt empowered to want to earn that career readiness badge, so they could be more employable. And then, again, I wanted to also highlight some of the work that we've done with academic affairs. I always say career services at LaGuardia. I'm the director of all divisions because we work with academic affairs, institutional advancement. I'm actually housed in adult and continuing ed and workforce development. We used to be in student affairs. So again, I work with all areas. So I wanted to share some ideas of how we've embedded career readiness into the academic curriculum and also co-curricular programming. Maybe, and Sheila, I'm looking at you, my former colleague. We used to work together at LaGuardia, and we used to have a co-curricular program that faculty would come to a workshop. We will review the activities, we will help them embed the competencies, and then students will earn badges. So that's why our numbers are where they are today. So for example, with the nutrition program, Shristhi, I'm giving shout out to my team because they're here. Shristhi is here, she's one of our career advisors. And every semester, we're meeting with the nutrition capstone course. And again, it's the chair of the program, very passionate about career. And she requires her students all to come to our office for a resume review with one of the staff. They have to complete their LinkedIn profile, and they participate in a mock interview activity that's facilitated by my team. With mock job descriptions, we rate them. There's a rubric for the mock interview. So the student is putting a lot of work in order to earn this particular badge. With QSTEM, this happens, I believe, like every spring and summer, right? QSTEM. They also have to do resumes, mock interviews, but also my team goes in and facilitates different professional development workshops. And as a result of this, the students earn their critical thinking badge, teamwork, and the meta badge, right? Because as I mentioned, if they complete 2, we'll get them the meta badge. The Undergraduate Student Research Symposium, I think we've been doing this since the inception, since 2016. We work with the faculty, the students work on research projects, they work as teams, and then we award them the badge. On the back end, I'm sure you're curious, how do we collect this? We actually use a form that students are directed to submit their evidence so we could vet and review it before it's attached to the badge. I know it's adding more work on my team, but we want to make sure, especially if you're sharing these badges with the public and with employers, we want to make sure that the evidence that's being attached is up to par, right? It's a good representation of the institution. Another one I'm excited about is also the Natural Sciences Department. They received a grant, and now the faculty are writing us into their grants, which is amazing. Us providing support in providing career readiness. So they do a reflection essay. The students actually did a data set. It was impressive to see the evidence that they worked on. So those of you that are very techie would appreciate that evidence. And we were able to award the technology, but we tweaked it a little bit so it could be digital technology, only to help and enhance the student's resume. Some other great examples with the English course. This is pretty new from this semester. They received a grant for an MLA program, and the students are working on. So we've actually worked from scratch with this faculty member, assisting her with what type of assignment I should create, the language that's being used, how the English department competencies align to the career readiness competencies. And as a result from our meetings with her, she said, no, we want to do more. She added the mock interview piece, which we're actually going to bring in industry professionals to facilitate those sessions, because I believe is a new major that we have, the health humanities. We're going to bring health humanities professionals to facilitate these mock interviews, and of course, the resume. So the students here is doing a lot of work for the One Communication badge. Nursing Capstone, also another staple program department that we work with. The students that are getting ready to graduate, they're actually bringing them even to our job fairs in their uniforms. That was super, super cool to watch. But again, they're very dedicated to bringing our students so they can earn a badge. Then, of course, our staple program that I love is very near and dear to me, our SOAR experiential learning program. So the students that go through the program, they complete an internship placement of 12 weeks. They complete 120 hours in an entry-level internship related to their major. And this is funded through the LaGuardia Foundation, and we pay students $2,000, which is pretty neat, right? It's about $20 an hour that we give them. The students are required to go through a series of professional development seminars. They do service learning, so we just, generational bridge program. Their students volunteering 4 to 5 Fridays this semester with senior citizens. It was very touching. We were able to go. And then students are also doing research. Many of our faculty do assign, research projects to the students, and all the students in SOAR actually are eligible for all the badges. So that's a bit unique. So again, assessment, we're in higher education, really extremely important, I could go hours of how wonderful I think the program is, but the input of our employer partners and students is extremely important. So this is actually a result of a survey that we do. We designed our SOAR program to have a pre-survey for students to see where they are at the start of their internship, a midpoint survey, as well as a final one. The final one is actually kind of like a 360 review. The student evaluates the site, and the site manager evaluates the student. So as you can see, this is the perspective of students. Like, how do you feel you accomplishing the professional learning goals and objectives established for the internship? So the students establish these goals at the start of their internship with their internship supervisor, as well as their assigned advisor in my office. And as you can see, good is 92. That's impressive. And with 59 thinking excellent. But I also want to focus on the second chart, So how did they utilize, their career readiness skills at their internship? And as you can see, the majority, they said always, right? They're doing analytical work, they're using their critical thinking skills, their problem solving, because we ask the supervisors to give them real projects, right? It's not answering phones, it's not let me run errands, it's really about gaining experience so they can add to their resumes. And I will say about 60% of our students end up getting a second internship after their SOAR internship, and a majority of the students also land a job. These are pretty impressive outcomes. We just launched SOAR in 2021, so we just on our 4th cohort, and the program, right, the value of the program really speaks for itself. We also asked the employers, right, to rate how satisfied they are with the performance of our students. Because again, right, I could think it's a wonderful program, but as you can see, it's an impressive, right, 4.49 average that our employers are impressed by the skills of our students. Now, there's been some students, right, that don't have certain skills, but that's when we coach and we intervene and we say, okay, they may not know Excel. And I think some of us don't know to use Excel to its full potential, right? So the idea is that it's a truly work-based learning opportunity for students. And then here, I just wanted to add, this is very raw data. This is from the students. I did not edit it. I literally copied and pasted it. And what we did is we recently, when I learned we will be presenting here, I asked the internship coordinator to send a survey out to the students and say, hey, what value did you find in digital badges? Are you using it? Did you claim it? And as you can see, to Pablo's point of the data, it speaks for itself. Students are sharing on LinkedIn. They love showing off that they earned this badge and why. And they actually like when we like it, us, the staff that's in the office, where we make sure that we comment and congratulate them. Again, about motivation, which was the purpose, right, of this program at inception. Students felt motivated to complete their internship because they want to earn a badge. They also felt an increase in their own self-confidence and motivated them to continue their careers. And it was a validation of their skills, self-development, a quick way to show skills. I think that was mentioned also in the previous presentation. And they felt happy. I thought that was such a sweet, genuine, right, response to the question for the students. And as you can see here, this is one of our students that completed the program in the fall. How appreciative they were of the internship opportunity, and also being able to showcase all the work that they've done, right? As you can see, the digital badge served as something tangible, an acknowledgement of the hard work, effort, and dedication throughout the program. So the quote itself speaks, right, values of what the students find the value in the program. I think that's it. Yeah, that wraps up. Again, I could go a long time about the topic, but feel free to connect with us. That's the QR code to my LinkedIn. Feel free to email us. And I guess we'll open the floor, right, to any questions from the audience.
Could you say just a little more on the one particular badge where the site evaluates students, students evaluate site? In the professional school setting, that's something we do quite a bit, and just would like a little more comment on that and information, because I think that's really important.
Sure. So again, it's a requirement of the program. The student wouldn't get any other badges unless their supervisor completed this form. And again, it's a kind of like our performance evaluations on an annual basis, but in more short term. And the questions are designed around the competencies as well. So they're very specific. The employer could rate them, they could make comments. And that is shared with the student. Because, right, there's been a handful, there's been, right, Jacqueline, situations that the rating hasn't been great. But that allows us to use it as use the tool as a teachable moment for the student to acknowledge, hey, you may need some improvement in this area. But for the most part, they're very glowing reviews. And we also have, I didn't mention, like a closing ceremony at the end of the internship, which we invite the employers and we acknowledge every student. So we're talking about, on average, we got like a little over 200 students a year that complete the program, and we acknowledge them as well on campus and the employer. But the employers really enjoy that feedback, because part of the process, because I didn't go deep into how students get selected, but there is a vetting process. The employers meet the students in what we call matching fair. They come on campus and they have these intimate interview sessions. So they select the students who work with them. So again, again, empowering the student to go through all these motions. But I'm not sure if there's anything more specific about the evaluation you wanted to know, but it's extremely valuable, and both for us if we want to keep the employer also.
Okay. Oh, one more. Okay. Oh, good. Yeah. You definitely get to ask a question.
Thank you. So I'm with Career Services. I'm Tanika Bashir. We work together all the time, Jessica. I just wanted to know, I know it's been a long time since the inception, since 2016, but in the implementation process, how did it begin with getting faculty on board and, also sharing the value of the badges and just all about the competencies, and how did that play out and how?
Thank you. Faculty buying is always tricky. I think college-wide, there have been a number of initiatives that have encouraged faculty to work on different assignments and different activities in the classroom in alignment with the core competencies. And digital badging became one of them. So probably the point that I could relay from previous presentations is also thinking about how do we align this to existing work. So digital badges, they are very helpful, they validate student learning, but when it comes to faculty understanding that, I think the trick was just to align it with something that already is happening. And in the examples that Jessica shared, nutrition and culinary, they realized there's this skill that I want my students, as a program director, I want to make sure that my students graduating from my program know how to do A, B, and C. And then Jessica's team worked to align that, not only aligning the core competencies, but also the NACE competencies. And I think it's a matter of alignment and thinking about how the existing activity or assignment or task the student does, how can it be further boosted by the digital badge. So I think that could be, one way to address it. I'm sure Jessica may have other thoughts, but since the beginning, I could say that has been a strategy that has been working the most. Also because from the perspective of academic affairs, honesty, right? We're not telling faculty that they need to do something new. It's a matter of establishing a collaboration, because a lot of faculty may not be aware of the range of services that, for instance, our career office offers. And when they realize, wait a minute, you can teach my students how to set up a LinkedIn profile. Let's get them and do this, right? So it's a matter of making those connections, I think.
Well said.
One more question, Sarah?
It's not a question, but it's just a response to what was just said. I think to get the faculty, you can hear me, right? To get the faculty buy-in, just last night for the first time, because I just learned about NACE and the competencies, the attendance drops off like the edge of a glacier halfway through the semester. And to get the students more engaged, it was just a problem solver for me to say, do you know that this is NACE? Look it up. We just did teamwork. We just did critical thinking. And the students themselves literally shook their heads, and it kind of like made a bridge for them. So I think it's not going to be heaped on like more work. But as we as faculty share with each other that it's actually getting us more attendance and buy-in, it's just going to be a natural part of our curriculum. It's kind of word of mouth, maybe.
Thank you for that endorsement. Anything else? Okay, so we're running a little bit late, so if there aren't other questions, I think we'll take the lunch break. If you'll give us just a minute to get set.